I've always liked that BattleTech has tanks involved and helicopters, which is really cool. So today we're going to look at the legendary pilot Todd Lee and his Demolisher tank. So without further ado, let's jump into painting. So I'm starting with the base of this foxhide brown, which reminds me of pumpkin spice. So after the base coat, I'm mixing Arrakis brown with that foxhide 50-50, and I'm just going to use the sponge and just do covering. The change is not big here, but it will work. Then I'm going straight with the Arrakis brown and just slowly building up. And these colors, it's not big of a contrast, but it's enough that in a different kind of lighting, you can see the changes of colors, which is, it's a slow process, but it's looking interesting. And if you're interested in the lore of this, apparently the Free Worlds League believes this thing is cursed. Next, I'm going to add ice yellow mixed 50-50 with the Arrakis brown. And like my previous videos, I'm just hitting the tops of the panels that the light would hit. And since this tank is kind of flat, it's not a mech, there's a lot more of those coverage areas to cover. So I'm just focusing on those top edges on the top of the tank, and then the right and the left front sides. Now, granted, I'm using this brown wash on it, and then I have to go back later and kind of cover it up. Looking back, I might have not done this, or I might have controlled the wash a little bit more, but I went ahead and cleaned it up, and I do like the brown wash in here, but I would have been a little bit more careful how much I applied. Next, after that wash was done with the white spirits, cleaning it up, I'm hopping right back into the mix of the Arrakis brown mixed with the ice yellow and just trying to clean up a little bit to the highest of highlights. Next, I'm just going to hit now with just straight ice yellow and try to hit the kind of the very tips of the edges and corners. Now, I will say, after the wash, I lost a lot of the oranginess. So I will go back and do glazing, but it feels like there's an interesting transition happening from the brown to orange to a little bit of the yellow, which does look cool. So it's a really cool, interesting fade. Now, I'm using a different metallic today, and this one from Model Color has a little bit of a blueness to it. I haven't used it a lot, but I figured why not go with a different color. So just covering up all the metallic parts on this tank, and I just looked at the reference art to see which pieces were metallic. Next, I'm just going to apply a black wash, which is Nolan oil from Citadel, and just carefully, lightly covering up some of those recesses of the metallic parts. So I'm going to use molten lava to do a glaze. Because I did the brown wash, I lost a lot of the orangeness to it. So doing a glaze, I add quite a lot of water to the paint, and you create this translucent look to the paint. So as you see, it's very light, and then I wipe off the previous paint and then put it back in so it's nice and dry before I start doing the glazing. And glazing, I've mentioned it before, it's like tinting. So I'm just trying to tint all the recesses with that oranginess. And I would say the layers of glazing tint I do is probably up to 20 here. So it did take a little bit of time, but I really am happy with the oranginess and the tint it gave. And what's cool when you do a glaze like this, you get some pretty cool colors because you're tinting those colors. So here's the result. I'm happy with it. I like the brown to the orange to the tan. So it just took some time. I would say that took me about 20 minutes to do all the glazing work. Next, I'm going to do a 50-50 mix of the Arrakis brown in the ice yellow to start doing edge highlights. And I wanted to be mindful and careful over where the shading had been done with the glazing. I did want a sharp contrast from the oranginess to the bright highlights, but then I ended up highlighting some of those, but I really want to be careful. I'm a very minimalistic highlighter when it comes to edge highlights, so I like to hit just the corners that would be hit by the light source and not every single corner panel, and especially the ones not underneath. I like doing the ones that are more up top. Interesting lore about this legendary tank. Well, the tank itself, the reason they say it was cursed, it's been never destroyed, but 27 crew members have died operating this thing until our pilot today, Todd Lee, and he survived an ambush and they survived. So in his mind, he broke the curse. And I'm getting this information from the Legendary Pilots book number 2. Now, after doing the ice yellow highlights on the top, I wanted to now highlight the metallic parts. So I use oily steel, and not only do I hit edge highlights in some areas, I do some kind of scratch marks on the barrel just to kind of create visual interest or contrast to the metal. Now I'm going to use Avalanche Sunset and then Model Color Ice Yellow to do the highlighting. These guys are the first regular Hussars, so they have this orangey brown color base, then they have yellow kind of panel color highlights. I really wanted to do the one that had green, but also I wanted to stick to the actual pilot's tank, and his is in conjunction with the first regular Hussars, so I had to do yellow. It doesn't stand out very much, so I did my typical thin line, then a darker line or thicker line afterwards, and then I'll highlight with the ice yellow. And I just followed exactly what I saw on the artwork, how they had the line going up the middle, and then on the side kind of trimmed, there was a yellow line there also. Now, going in with the ice yellow, I want to keep the Avalanche Sunset still there, so I'm just kind of lightly hitting it. You could, in theory, just do kind of like dots of the like where the yellow is hitting the edge of the panel and not done kind of that line like how I did. Now, for the tracks, I wanted to do them based black. Then I'm going to come later and do a muddy kind of look to them. Alright, let's start damaging this thing, because in the lore, they get attacked by these like ambusher kind of people, and he survives. So, now, I've been wanting to do this for a while. I've been wanting to do this like laser burn, so this was the day. So I stipple black to make a bit of a line so it looks a bit like a laser burn hit here. Then, after I'm happy with how that line looks after stippling, I come in with off-white and I do just small dabs of the white because those are going to be the areas that are hot and still burning from the laser. Then, using this Model Air Fluorescent Red, I'm just going over those white areas and treating this a little bit as a glaze because I don't want it to be too overwhelming. And then I want to cover up some of the times where I overdid the highlights and I cleaned it up, and to finally get that kind of hot ember feel, I added some yellow fluorescent just to kind of create a little bit more of a burn effect to it. I'm happy. It looks pretty good. I don't know what these things are. I think they are lasers, and on the picture they were green, so I did my typical green fluorescent green with the white undertone. Now next I want to use this emerald green from Model Color Vallejo, and I'm just going to pick out all the areas that are cockpit glasses. And I actually missed that one in front. I didn't realize that was a cockpit glass until I looked back at the imagery from the book and I found out it was. And I'm going to do just one simple highlight, a 50-50 base of the emerald green with the mint twister from Green Stuff World, and then add a white dot. Just a simple cockpit glass because it's pretty small, so it's even hard to get that first highlight. And just to add some more damage, I am now doing the sponge damage of the oily steel just to give a little bit more contrast to the battle damage on this thing. And I wanted to get back out with the oily steel and just trying to put a little bit of scrapes on that laser burn. Now, here's my mud effect. I put it down on the treads and on the bottom of the base, and then later I will mix in the AK rust red mixed with the dark brown for a wash to give that mud effect. And this is next week's video. I'm not going to spoil it too much, but I'm really excited to tackle this archer. With that, I hope you guys have a fantastic week and see you next time.